In the earliest days of humanity's expansion into the stars, no one believed we would amount to much. We were a species divided, warring among ourselves, barely scraping by on a single, fragile world. Our technology was primitive compared to the advanced races that had already established sprawling empires across the galaxy. The Zelathar, a cold and calculating species, had built their empire millennia ago and saw us as little more than insects our potential completely overlooked. The Aeonari, a race of sentient energy beings, considered our physical forms beneath their notice, seeing us as nothing more than a brief blip in the course of cosmic evolution. The Vurex, an ancient and powerful insectoid race, had watched the galaxy unfold for eons, and their disdain for us was palpable. But there was one thing no one understood: humanity's heart. We had something that none of the galaxy's so-called advanced races had ever truly grasped: an unyielding will to survive, adapt, and evolve. We were underdogs, yes, but we were far from helpless. The first encounter that changed everything began when the Zelathar, in their arrogance, decided to expand their empire into the fringes of the galaxy. In their endless pursuit of resources, they set their sights on a remote star system, one that humans had recently colonized. A backwater place by galactic standards, but it had something unique: an abundance of rare minerals, metals, and natural resources essential to the burgeoning human space industry. The Zelathar were accustomed to facing little resistance when they claimed new worlds. They believed that humanity, being newly formed on the galactic stage, would simply roll over and submit. What they didn't account for was the fire inside us, the hunger we had to prove ourselves worthy of the stars. We fought back not with the advanced technology the Zelathar possessed, but with cunning, desperation, and unity. In those early days, humanity had learned to thrive on the edge of survival, a lesson that would define our future. Our forces, small and poorly equipped, engaged the Zelathar on the ground, using guerrilla tactics. We were fierce in battle, each soldier driven by the knowledge that our very existence was on the line. The Zelathar, with their cold precision, underestimated the unpredictable nature of human ingenuity. In our desperation, we began to adapt and evolve in ways they could never anticipate. We sabotaged their ships. We lured them into deadly traps. We used our knowledge of terrain to turn the planet itself into a weapon. The Zelathar, for all their technological superiority, were unprepared for the unpredictable nature of human warfare. Every time they thought they had us cornered, we found a way to turn the tables. In the end, it wasn't just a victory for humanity, it was a humiliation for the Zelathar. The few surviving Zelathar soldiers limped off the planet, and for the first time, the galaxy took notice of the human race. The seeds of something far greater were planted that day, as we proved that we were not to be underestimated. The events of the Zelathar War were only the beginning. In the years that followed, humanity's technological and military advancements exploded. We began to study and reverse engineer the alien technology left behind by our would-be conquerors. While it took time, we learned. Our engineers, once mere apprentices to alien designs, became masters in their own right. With our newfound knowledge, we built ships that could rival any of the galaxy's great fleets. We crafted weapons that bent the laws of physics, creating energy-based armaments that could decimate entire fleets with a single shot. But technology alone wasn't enough. The key to humanity's success wasn't just in our ability to build things, it was in our drive to push beyond the limits of what was thought possible. We had something none of the other races had: the will to evolve, to change, and to rise from the ashes. Humanity's rise to power was slow at first. We were not conquerors by nature. We began by forging alliances, building coalitions with smaller, weaker races who had been trampled under the heels of the galaxy's empires. We gave them technology, military support, and, above all, the promise of a future where they could stand tall alongside us. One of the first major alliances we formed was with the Raskari, a race of semi-nomadic beings who lived in a vast, unstable region of space. They were a warlike species, but their technology was primitive. They had long been oppressed by the Vurex, who had used them as nothing more than pawns in their intergalactic games. We offered them protection, resources, and most importantly, the knowledge to fight back. The Raskari joined us, and together, we began to reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. We expanded our influence, pulling more and more races into our fold. The Vurex, once a dominant force, found themselves suddenly facing an organized and formidable resistance. Humanity's reputation as a formidable force began to spread like wildfire. As humanity's power grew, so too did our ambitions. No longer content with simply surviving or protecting our newfound allies, we began to challenge the established powers. The first true test came when the Aeonari, who had long seen humanity as a fleeting curiosity, grew concerned at our rapid rise. They had long dominated the galactic stage, their ability to manipulate energy making them virtually untouchable by conventional means. They had always considered us beneath them, but now they saw us as a threat. The Aeonari made the first move, launching a surprise attack on a human colony in the Outer Rim. It was a brutal strike, one meant to send a message. But the Aeonari had underestimated the changes that had taken place within humanity. We were no longer the underdogs, scrambling to defend ourselves. We were a united force, a coalition of races with a common goal, to break the chains of oppression and claim our place in the stars. The Aeonari attacked with their usual overwhelming force, manipulating energy to create weapons that could tear through the fabric of space itself. But this time, we were ready. Our scientists had spent years developing new technologies specifically designed to counteract their energy-based attacks. We had developed shields that could disrupt their energy manipulations, rendering their most powerful weapons useless. The battle was fierce. It raged across entire star systems, with humanity and our allies fighting back with an intensity that shook the very foundation of the Aeonari Empire. For the first time, the Aeonari found themselves on the defensive. Their energy weapons, once the pinnacle of galactic power, were neutralized. Their fleets, once unmatched in their speed and firepower, were torn apart by humanity's sheer will to survive. The Aeonari were forced to retreat, their once invincible empire crumbling in the face of our relentless assault. Their leaders, who had long considered themselves the pinnacle of evolutionary progress, were left with no choice but to negotiate with us. They came to the table, humbled and broken, offering us an unprecedented alliance. But humanity had already made a decision. We would no longer be content with mere alliances or being a part of someone else's empire. We had tasted power, and we intended to claim our place at the top of the galactic hierarchy. The era of the underdog was over. Humanity was no longer content to merely survive or coexist. We would rule. With the fall of the Aeonari and the retreat of the Zelithar and Vurex, a new era dawned. Humanity, once a fringe species struggling for survival, had risen to the top of the galactic food chain. We controlled vast swaths of space, and our fleets, now made up of ships crafted from the combined knowledge of countless races, were unmatched. We began to shape the galaxy according to our vision. The once mighty empires of the Zelithar, Vurex, and Aeonari were reduced to mere shadows of their former selves, their influence waning in the face of humanity's unstoppable drive. The races that had once scoffed at us now looked to us for guidance. The so-called Old Guard had fallen, and the stars now belonged to us. But the true power of humanity was not in our fleets, our weapons, or our technology. It was in our ability to evolve. We adapted to every challenge, learned from every defeat, and emerged stronger each time. The galaxy had thought us weak, but now they would learn to fear the name of humanity. As we solidified our rule, we made it clear that we would not be the oppressors of the galaxy. Unlike the empires that had come before us, we did not seek to crush every other race beneath our boot. Instead, we offered an open invitation to all who were willing to join us. Our vision was one of unity, of cooperation, of building a future where all races could thrive together. The first great human-led council was formed, a coalition of races working together to ensure peace and prosperity for all. The galaxy, once a chaotic and violent place, was transformed into something greater, a unified system of worlds working toward common goals. And yet, even as we stood at the apex of power, we knew that our journey was far from over. The stars were vast, and there were still unknowns out there. There were threats that would test us, forces that would try to bring us down. But we were no longer the underdogs. We were the overlords, and the galaxy would kneel before us or rise alongside us. As the new rulers of the galaxy, humanity's vision began to take shape. We were no longer a scattered collection of factions fighting for survival, but a unified force that sought not just to dominate, but to elevate. The Council of Races, the heart of the human-led empire, became the beating pulse of this new era. The Zelithar, the Vurex, and even the Aeonari were not forgotten, but they were no longer the driving forces of the galaxy's politics. Instead, we established a system that gave every species a voice. The galaxy had once been a stage for the few to rule over the many, but now it was a place where collaboration and mutual respect reigned. At the heart of the empire stood Earth, still the cradle of humanity, but no longer the center of everything. Earth had grown into a monumental hub of culture, science, and philosophy, a beacon that radiated outward to the farthest corners of the galaxy. Humanity's old ways of war, hatred, and division were but distant memories. The visionaries, the architects of this new world, had crafted a future that was at once enlightened and pragmatic. In the early days of the human ascendancy, we had focused on peace and stability, but now it was time for something more. Humanity, ever restless, began to push the boundaries of what was possible. Exploration became the next frontier. We had already mastered the art of war, diplomacy, and governance. Now we sought the unknowns of the universe. The Council authorized the creation of the Exodus Fleet, an armada of ships that would venture beyond known space to explore the Great Void. It was an ambitious endeavor, one that would take humanity's reach far beyond even our most distant colonies. Led by the most daring explorers, scientists, and engineers humanity had ever known, the Exodus Fleet set off into the depths of space, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of the human race. The ships of the Exodus Fleet were equipped with the latest technologies humanity had developed, many of which were still unknown to the galaxy's other powers. We had refined faster than light travel to an art, allowing us to explore previously unreachable systems in the blink of an eye. Our ships were equipped with advanced cloaking and shielding systems, making them nearly invisible to hostile forces. But our true strength lay not in our technology alone, it was our unwavering determination to venture into the unknown, to seek out the mysteries of the universe and claim them as our own. As the Exodus Fleet ventured farther from the reach of the Empire, it encountered many wonders and horrors, new civilizations, strange anomalies, and ancient ruins that spoke of a time long past. Some of these new worlds proved to be fertile ground for human colonization, while others were deadly, hostile places that required all of humanity's ingenuity to survive. But it was not only the physical challenges that awaited us. As humanity pushed further into the unknown, we began to encounter other civilizations, some of them far older and more advanced than anything we had encountered before. These races had long ago mastered the art of galactic survival and expansion. They had left their mark on the universe, but their empires were shadows of their former selves. Many of these ancient races had been consumed by their own hubris, their own cycles of expansion and collapse, and now they watched us with wary eyes. One such race, the Yvidar, a long-forgotten species known for their mastery of energy manipulation, took notice of humanity's rise. They had once ruled vast stretches of the galaxy but had fallen into decline after a catastrophic event that shattered their empire. The Yvidar were not content to let humanity's ascension go unchallenged. They saw us as a threat to their once unchallenged position, and they moved quickly to assert their dominance over the Exodus Fleet. The Yvidar were an enigmatic race, their bodies composed of semi-corporeal energy that allowed them to manipulate the very fabric of reality. Their ships, too, were made of pure energy, and they possessed the ability to teleport vast distances in the blink of an eye. When they attacked, it was with overwhelming force. Entire fleets were obliterated by their energy-based weapons, and for the first time in centuries, humanity was forced to confront a power that rivaled our own. The battle between humanity and the Yvidar was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. The Yvidar attacked with precision, their energy weapons tearing through human ships like paper, leaving behind nothing but the wreckage of destruction. The Exodus fleet, for all its technological advancements, was being pushed to its limits. But humanity, as it always had, adapted. We did not fall back into desperation or despair. Instead, we rallied. The Council of Races, which had grown into a diverse and powerful collective, united to face this new threat. The knowledge we had gathered from countless species, including the remains of the Aeonari and Zelithar technologies, provided us with new ways to counter the Yvidhar's abilities. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock to develop new countermeasures, and our military leaders reorganized our fleets into smaller, more agile units that could outmaneuver the Yvidhar's immense power. We developed weapons that could disrupt the Yvidhar's energy fields, rendering their once impenetrable ships vulnerable. Human ingenuity, once again, proved to be our greatest strength. The war against the Yvidhar stretched across decades, with both sides suffering heavy losses. But humanity's will to survive and to prevail was unyielding. The Yvidhar, despite their superior technology, were ultimately undone by their own arrogance. They underestimated humanity's ability to innovate and adapt. The final battle came when a human fleet, equipped with newly developed phase-shift technology, infiltrated the heart of the Yvidhar Empire. We struck at the core of their power and shattered their defenses, scattering their forces and forcing them to retreat into the depths of space. In the aftermath of the war, the Yvidhar, though severely weakened, were not destroyed. They retreated into the fringes of the galaxy, licking their wounds and plotting their next move. But humanity had proven something important. We were no longer just survivors. We were not just a species that could fight to stay alive. We had become the masters of our own fate, the true overlords of the galaxy. The stars, once distant and intimidating, now belonged to us. With the Yvidhar defeated, humanity's position as the dominant force in the galaxy was solidified. But we were no longer just a warlike species. We had evolved into something far more complex. Our victories over the old empires, coupled with the defeat of the Yvidhar, had forced the galaxy to acknowledge us as its rightful rulers, but our reign was not based solely on conquest. Humanity began to shift from a focus on military might to a new vision, a vision of long-term peace and stability. The Council of Races, under humanity's leadership, became a forum for diplomacy and cooperation. Every race, regardless of size or power, was given a voice. We reached out to those races still lost in the shadows, offering them a chance to join the new order or face inevitable extinction. For the first time in galactic history, we had a chance at true unity. The old ways of conquest, tyranny, and division were slowly but surely being replaced with something new, a galactic society in which each species could flourish, free from the chains of oppression. Yet, even as the galaxy began to change, we knew that the universe was vast and unpredictable. There were still countless worlds to explore, new challenges to face, and unknown threats that lurked beyond the stars. But humanity, once the underdog, had become the overlord. And we would not rest until every corner of the galaxy had been explored, every mystery unraveled, and every challenge met with the relentless determination that had carried us from the depths of despair to the heights of power. And so, the story of humanity's rise continues forever forward, forever striving, forever reaching for the stars. As humanity's influence grew, so did its understanding of the galaxy and the countless civilizations that lived within it. We had conquered the old powers, forged alliances, and established ourselves as the dominant force. But we were not content with merely holding the reins of power. We sought to expand, to explore, to understand the very fabric of the universe itself. The Exodus fleet, now a symbol of humanity's insatiable curiosity, continued its journey through the uncharted reaches of space. It was no longer just a military expedition, it was a symbol of humanity's reach into the unknown. We had made contact with countless new species, discovered ancient relics of forgotten empires, and encountered phenomena that defied explanation. But with every new discovery, new threats began to surface, forces that would challenge even the hard-won dominion humanity had carved out. The galaxy, it seemed, was not yet ready to bow to a new overlord. The balance of power was far from settled, and as we pressed deeper into the unknown, we found ourselves facing challenges unlike anything we had ever anticipated. One such challenge emerged in the form of the Sulfur, a race of semi-ethereal beings who resided in a pocket of space beyond the known borders of the galaxy. These beings had existed for millennia, their consciousness spread across a vast network of interconnected minds, existing not in bodies, but in the very fabric of space-time itself. They were ancient, older than any known civilization, and their influence extended across the stars in subtle, unseen ways. The Sulfur had watched humanity's rise with great interest, intrigued by our drive, our ambition, and our ability to adapt. Yet they viewed us with deep suspicion. To them, we were an anomaly, a species that had managed to defy the natural order of the universe. They had long believed that true power lay in unity, in being part of a greater whole, but humanity's insistence on individuality, on forging our own path, threatened to disrupt their understanding of the cosmos. The Sulfur decided that humanity needed to be stopped before we became a force too powerful to control. They unleashed a devastating attack on one of humanity's most strategically important systems, a thriving trade hub at the edge of the galaxy. Using their abilities to manipulate space itself, they tore through human defenses with ease, destabilizing entire star systems and creating rifts in space-time that caused entire colonies to vanish without a trace. At first, humanity was caught off guard. The Sulfur's ability to manipulate the very fabric of the universe made them nearly impossible to track, let alone fight. Their attacks were silent, invisible, and often left no trace of their presence. Their goal was not just to defeat humanity, but to unravel the very fabric of our existence. But humanity, as always, adapted. We had learned from our previous conflicts, and we understood that our strength did not lie in brute force alone. It lay in our ability to think, to innovate, and to rally when faced with overwhelming odds. The best minds in the Empire came together to study the Sulfur's unique abilities, and after years of research, we discovered a way to fight back. We developed a new type of technology, dimensional anchors devices that could stabilize the fabric of space-time and prevent the Sulfur from manipulating it at will. These anchors, once deployed, could create pockets of stable space where the Sulfur could not interfere. They were the key to turning the tide of the war. But the Sulfur were not so easily defeated. They retaliated with greater force, drawing on their vast network of minds to overwhelm human defenses. The war between humanity and the Sulfur raged on for years, with both sides suffering great losses. It was a conflict unlike any other one in which victory could not be measured by mere territory or military strength, but by the ability to hold onto our very existence. At the heart of the war, a small group of human scientists and diplomats took it upon themselves to seek a different path. They believed that the Sulfur's view of the universe, their fear of humanity's individuality, could be bridged through diplomacy. They proposed a truce, a new understanding, one in which humanity and the Sulfur could coexist and learn from one another. The Sulfur, once resolute in their belief that humanity was a threat to the universe, were forced to reconsider their position. They were, after all, beings of intellect and thought, and even they could not deny the growing power and potential of the human race. After years of conflict, the two sides reached a tenuous peace. Humanity would continue to grow, but the Sulfur would serve as its watchful guardians, ensuring that our ambition did not disrupt the natural order of the cosmos. This was a turning point, a moment in history that would shape the future of the galaxy. Humanity, the once humble species that had risen from the ashes of war and oppression, had become something far more than a mere conqueror. We had become a force for change, a species capable of not only surviving, but reshaping the very nature of existence. But even as we celebrated this fragile peace, new threats emerged. The galaxy, as vast as it was, still harbored dark secrets, ancient forces, long thought to be nothing more than myth, that would soon make their presence known. One such threat was the awakening of the Kravan, a race of technologically advanced and hyper-intelligent beings that had vanished from the galaxy long before humanity had even begun to look up to the stars. They had once ruled a vast empire that spanned several sectors of the galaxy, but their reign had ended in a cataclysmic event that shattered their civilization. The Kravan were unlike any other species humanity had encountered. They were not biological, but rather a fusion of organic matter and highly advanced artificial intelligence. They had evolved far beyond the need for physical bodies, existing as a network of interconnected consciousnesses that could traverse space and time with ease. They had left behind an empire in ruins, their cities now nothing more than ghostly echoes of a forgotten age. But now, the Kravan were stirring. The cause of their awakening was unknown, but it became clear that something had triggered their return. Perhaps it was our rapid rise, our growing power that threatened to encroach upon their ancient domain. Or perhaps it was something deeper, something tied to the very fabric of the galaxy itself. Whatever the reason, the Kravan were back, and they were not pleased to see humanity standing where they once did. At first, humanity tried to negotiate with the Kravan. They had been masters of the galaxy once, and surely they could offer wisdom and insight that would benefit us all. But the Kravan were not interested in diplomacy. Their ancient code of superiority, ingrained over millennia of dominance, made it impossible for them to see humanity as anything other than an upstart species that needed to be eliminated. The Kravan launched a series of brutal strikes against human colonies, their ships appearing without warning and decimating entire systems in seconds. The power they wielded was beyond anything humanity had encountered before. Their weapons could bend the laws of physics, and their ships moved through space with a speed and precision that defied the imagination. Humanity, once again, found itself on the brink of annihilation. But this time, there was something different. We were no longer the underdogs. We had the resources, the knowledge, and the alliances to mount a defense. The lessons of the past were not lost on us. We fought back, not with brute force, but with ingenuity. Our fleets, now composed of diverse races and technologies, were able to adapt to the Kravan's advanced weapons, creating new strategies and countermeasures. The war with the Kravan would be long and costly, but humanity was no longer a species that could be easily defeated. We had fought our way to the top of the galactic ladder, and we would not allow ancient powers to drag us back into the shadows. As the battle between humanity and the Kravan raged on, one thing became clear: the future of the galaxy had changed. No longer would the old empires hold sway over the stars. Humanity had earned its place at the top, and it was not going to let anyone, no matter how ancient or powerful, take that away. We were the Overlords, and the galaxy would bend to our will or face our wrath. Part 9: The Rise of the Templars. The war against the Kravan was brutal, taxing every resource humanity had and testing the very limits of our resolve. But amid the chaos, humanity's innovation and relentless will to survive continued to shine. As the Kravan pushed closer to the heart of the human empire, humanity rallied under a new banner: the Order of the Templars. The Templars were not just a military faction. They were a philosophy, a new kind of human force. The Order was founded by a coalition of human military leaders, scientists, and philosophers who saw the war against the Kravan as more than just a fight for survival. They saw it as an opportunity for humanity to transcend its own limits and create something greater, something that could stand as a beacon for the galaxy. The Templars were born from this desire, combining the best of human ingenuity with an unshakable belief in the need for unity, justice, and discipline. At the heart of the Templars was their belief in the sacred fire, a philosophical concept that humanity, having risen from the ashes of oppression and war, now held within itself the responsibility to protect and elevate other races. The Templars believed that the galaxy was entering a new age, one in which humanity could lead, not just through force, but through wisdom, compassion, and strength. They did not seek to conquer for the sake of power. Instead, they sought to unite the galaxy under a banner of peace and cooperation. The Templar fleets, a series of warships armed with humanity's most advanced weapons and technology, became the spearhead of our defense against the Kravan. These ships were unlike any other, designed not only to fight but to inspire. The Templar ships were adorned with symbols of unity, with every ship named after great human heroes, philosophers, and warriors who had shaped our history. They were not just tools of war, they were symbols of hope, of humanity's defiance in the face of overwhelming odds. For the first time in human history, the galaxy saw a united force, not just built to conquer, but to preserve, to protect, and to elevate. The Templars operated with a code of honor that emphasized the preservation of life, the importance of justice, and the pursuit of enlightenment. They fought not because they wanted to destroy, but because they believed in the need to preserve the fragile peace humanity had fought so hard to secure. The Kravan, for all their technological superiority and ancient wisdom, were unprepared for the Templar philosophy. They had been accustomed to ruling with fear and might, believing that domination was the only way to maintain control. But the Templars offered an alternative that terrified them. Humanity, through the Templars, began to shift the power dynamic. The Kravan were no longer the unquestioned rulers of the galaxy. Their once mighty empire began to falter in the face of this new, unified force. The Templars' presence grew, not just through military might, but through diplomacy. The Templar leaders reached out to other factions, offering alliances and protection in exchange for cooperation and peace. Slowly, other races, once fearful or hostile to humanity, began to join the growing coalition. The Templars represented more than just humanity's military might. They were a movement, a symbol that spoke of a new order, one in which the galaxy was no longer divided into warring empires, but united in a common purpose. As the Templars pushed deeper into Kravan territory, the ancient race grew desperate. They had underestimated humanity, thinking our rise to power was a fleeting moment, a brief spark in the vastness of the galaxy. But the flame of humanity was not so easily extinguished. The Kravan, for all their might, could not contain the wave of change that was sweeping across the stars. The final confrontation between humanity and the Kravan took place on the ancient world of Var-Tor, the birthplace of the Kravan Empire. The world had once been a jewel of their civilization, a place where their highest leaders and most advanced technologies had been forged. Now, it lay in ruin, its great cities long abandoned. The Kravan had fled here to make their last stand, desperate to hold on to what little power they had left. The Templars arrived in full force, their fleets stretching across the heavens like a storm of righteousness. The final battle was not just a struggle for control over the galaxy, it was a clash of ideologies. The Kravan believed that their ancient, disconnected way of life was the only way to ensure survival. Humanity, through the Templars, believed in unity, in cooperation, and the power of diversity and innovation. The battle was fierce, with the Kravan unleashing their full might, manipulating the very laws of physics to attack humanity's fleets. Their ships warped space and time itself, sending devastating energy blasts across entire star systems. The Templars, however, were not afraid. Their ships moved with precision and purpose, their weapons cutting through the Kravan's defenses with relentless force. The Templar fleet was not just a military force, it was a symbol of everything humanity had fought for, a vision of unity and strength in the face of overwhelming darkness. As the battle raged on, it became clear that humanity's resolve was unbreakable. The Kravan, once the unquestioned rulers of the galaxy, were beginning to falter. Their ships, once invincible, were now falling one by one. The Templars, through their unity and discipline, had broken the Kravan's grip on the stars. The final moment came when the flagship of the Kravan, the Virathar, the last symbol of their once great empire, was cornered by the Templar forces. The Kravan leader, an ancient being known as Karoth, made one final plea, a desperate attempt to save his people. He offered a truce, proposing that humanity and the Kravan could coexist, that the old ways could be rebuilt, if only the Templars would show mercy. But the Templars had already made their decision. Humanity's path was not one of endless conquest, but of peace, of building something better. The Kravan had been given every chance to change, but they had chosen to cling to their old ways that had led to their own downfall. With a single, decisive strike, the Virathar was destroyed, and the Kravan were defeated. The galaxy, once again, stood at a crossroads. The Kravan, the last of the ancient powers, were no more. Humanity's dominance was assured, but with it came a new responsibility. The Templars, now fully established as the leaders of the galaxy, had a choice to make. We had proven our strength, but now it was time to prove our wisdom. The final days of the war marked the beginning of a new era, one not of domination, but of stewardship. Humanity, once the underdog, had risen not only to rule but to guide. The Templars established a new code, one that would govern not just the human race, but the entire galaxy. The galaxy would no longer be ruled by empires, by ancient races who saw power as an end in itself. It would be ruled by a shared vision of unity, peace, and progress. The new galactic concord was born. It was not a government in the traditional sense, but a collective of species, all working together to ensure the prosperity and survival of the galaxy. Each race, no matter how small, had a voice. Each world, no matter how distant, was given a chance to contribute to the greater whole. The Templars, once an order of warriors, became the guardians of this new order. They were not just military leaders, they were peacekeepers, diplomats, and philosophers. Their task was to ensure that the mistakes of the past were never repeated. They led with honor, with integrity, and with a sense of purpose that transcended mere conquest. And humanity, as the architects of this new galaxy, stood as the shining example of what could be achieved when a species rose from the depths of despair to claim its place among the stars. The Underdogs had become the Overlords. But instead of tyranny, we chose to lead with wisdom. Instead of destruction, we sought creation. And in the vast expanse of the galaxy, humanity stood as a beacon of hope, showing that even the most unlikely species could rise to greatness if only they believed in their own potential. And so, the story of humanity's rise continued not as conquerors, but as stewards of the stars, ensuring that the galaxy, once divided, would forever be united in peace. Over centuries, humanity's influence transformed the galaxy. The galactic concord, once a fragile hope, grew into a thriving alliance of species united by cooperation, exploration, and mutual respect. Empires fell, replaced by federations, marking the dawn of a golden age of shared prosperity. Under the Templars' guidance, humanity evolved from conquerors to architects of peace, crafting a society that celebrated diversity. Old grudges faded, and new generations, born from every corner of the galaxy, thrived in peace. The Templars, once warriors, became philosophers, teachers, and diplomats, uniting and protecting the fragile peace. Earth, no longer humanity's sole home, became the spiritual center of the galaxy, a symbol of how far humanity had come. Driven by a thirst for knowledge, humanity ventured into the farthest reaches of the universe. Alien worlds previously out of reach were now within grasp, and new mysteries unfolded. As humanity explored deeper into the cosmos, it realized that space was not the only realm of existence. Dimensions beyond the stars awaited discovery. Having transcended the struggle for survival, humanity was now poised to face the true unknown, not with military force, but with wisdom and spirit. The Templars, now explorers and philosophers, led with a commitment to the betterment of all life. Humanity's goal was no longer mere survival, but enlightenment and progress. As humanity gazed into the cosmos, the stars held a promise: our journey had only just begun.